Hi, my name's Simon Catan, and this is the first in a series of videos to support my game Adventures in Wonderland, which teaches command line skills. You can find the URL leading to the game at the bottom of this video. This first video is going to introduce the command line and show you some techniques for navigating around folders. So if you haven't heard of the command line before, you should know that it goes by many different names. So it can be called the terminal, the console. Some people call it the prompt. Some people just call it bash, which is actually the language that the command line uses. And even these terms will be combined as well. So you'll often hear things like bash terminal or the command line prompt. It looks something like this image on the right at the top, and it's often denoted by icons that look something like the image below that. You might also know it from its depiction in films, where often it's used to represent high-level technical activity, normally by people such as computer hackers. It appears in The Matrix, or Tron Legacy, but many other films as well. So one question really to ask is, why is it that it's used to represent these high-level technical activities? Well, the command line is an incredibly powerful tool. It allows you to access many different bits of open source software that aren't accessible in any other way. And those pieces of software can be configured and combined in ways that make them more accurate and flexible than anything that you would be able to access through a GUI. So it's a go-to choice for IT professionals when they're doing kind of system level activities. For more novice people, it maybe has a slightly different association. People often associate it with those times when things go wrong on their computers and they get to see some bits of command line output. And so often they find it quite a scary interface. And it's really that association that I want to dispel in these videos and my game Adventures in Wonderland. Okay, so if you're on a Mac, we're going to dive right in and access the terminal application. But if you're on a Windows machine, you're going to need to do a little bit of setup beforehand. And I've given you this URL, which will guide you through how to get an Ubuntu terminal working on your Windows machine. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the terminal application. So it's just a regular application on your computer, and I'm going to access it by using Spotlight and searching for terminal, and I'll press enter, and now I've opened it, and this is what it looks like, and this thing here is called the prompt, and we can type text, and if we press enter, it executes that text. Hopefully you would have typed a command. If I press enter now, it will say command not found because I just typed some nonsense. So let's learn a command. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to clean the output of the terminal. On a Mac, there's a hotkey to do this. It's Command and K. On a Windows machine, you'll find that there is also an equivalent command just to clear the output. So Command and K, and it looks clear again. So I'm going to type the command now. This command will list all the files in the current folder. So ls stands for list, and I'm going to press enter to execute the command. And here we can see all the folders in the current folder. So the terminal, there's something implied in that the terminal is always in a particular folder. So if I wanted to look at where we currently are, I could also open up a Finder, or if you're on Windows, an Explorer window. And this folder, where I currently am at, is actually what's called my home folder. It's got my username, and you can see here that these folders match up to these ones. So I'm in the same place. What we're going to do in a minute is we're going to use the terminal to look at the folders that I've got on my desktop and do some navigation around them. But before I do that with the terminal, I want to just do it with the Finder, just to make sure that we're clear about how folders and files work. So here I am on my desktop, and I'm going to look in Video Resources, and inside Video Resources, I can see I've got a folder called Video 1, and inside that I've got a file called videonotes.txt. So we call this thing a folder hierarchy. Let's have a look at a different representation of that. So here we are. Here's a representation of my folder hierarchy. So I had a folder called Desktop, and inside that I had two subfolders, one called MISC and one called Video Resources. And inside Video Resources I had a folder called Video 1, and inside that I had a file called videonotes.txt. So the next thing we might want to do is to get inside these different folders. And so there's a command I can use called cd. Now cd stands for change directory. So directory is a word that basically means folder. And so from now on, you'll probably hear me use the words folder and directory interchangeably. They mean exactly the same thing. So I'm going to change into the directory desktop. And now I could do ls on desktop, and I can see here that I have a file and two folders. Now you might be able to tell that there's this file here because of the extension at the end, the bit that says .mkv. But you might also be thinking, well, it would be good if ls could tell me what's a file and what's a folder. And there's a way of doing that. I can use an option on ls. I can type ls-l. And L stands for like long form. So you'll see this kind of thing a lot with command lines. So it's very common with a command line application to specify different options by putting a hyphen and then a small case letter. And sometimes you'll have many different options combined together for a single command. So let's run this command and see what the output is. Okay, so you can see we've got a lot more information now. We've got the name of the files on the right and a timestamp. I think this one is how many bytes are in the file, or the size of the file. And we can see lots of things here which I'm not going to explain right now. But on the far right at the far left, you can see that we see a letter D, and letter D stands for directory. So if it's there, we're looking at a directory. Otherwise, we're just looking at a plain old file. So we can see that we've got two directories. Okay, so I want to look what's inside Video Resources. There's two ways I can do this. I can type ls and I can type Video Resources. And there I can see inside Video Resources that there is something called Video 1. Maybe I want to check whether that's a file or a folder, so I could do ls-l, and now you can see that yes, it's a directory because that D is there. I just did something a little bit sneaky, and I realized I snuck it in without telling you. So I'm going to tell you now. I pressed the up arrow, and that allowed me to access old commands that I've already run. It's really, really useful when you're doing work on the command line. Okay, I'm going to clear the output again. I'm going to show you the other method now of working out what's inside that folder, Video Resources. I can cd into Video Resources. And now I am inside the folder Video Resources, and I can just type ls and I can see Video 1. So again, I want to check what's inside Video 1. So I could type ls Video 1 and I can see what's inside, or I can cd inside Video 1 as well. And now I'm inside it and I type ls. Okay, great. Now at this point, I might have gotten a bit lost. I might have not really understand where I am in my folder hierarchy. And so it might be good to check visually. So I might want to open this folder using the Finder. So the way I can do that on a Mac is to type open and dot. The dot stands for the current directory. So I'm going to open that, and you'll see that the folder magically opens up in the Finder. So that's pretty useful, and I can kind of get my regular GUI access to everything there. Another, if you're on a Windows machine, by the way, you type explore, I think it's Explorer dot, and you'll get the Windows Explorer to open up the folder in the same way. Okay, another thing I might want to do is to print in the terminal my current directory. And that's something slightly different. I type a command called pwd, and I see this output. Now, this output might need a little bit of unpacking because you might not have seen that before. So I'm going to do that now. So say we started in desktop, and then we CD'd into video resources, and we CD'd into video 1, and then inside video 1 there was video notes.txt. So to access all of these things, to do all of these steps, so if I was in desktop and to get all the way to video notes, I could write this in a text form, this route. And it would look like this. So it would tell me you're in desktop. We don't have that in, so we don't need to do anything there. But you do need to go into video resources, and then you need to go into video 1, and then you need to look at video notes.txt. And so this thing is called a path, because it's a path from where we currently are to where we want to get to. Okay, so let's look again at the path that we have here. This one's quite a bit longer, and this is because when we do pwd, it shows us the current directory, or the working directory as it's called, but from the very root of the computer. So slash takes us to the first folder. So if I show you again this folder hierarchy, you can imagine we could keep going up and up and up, but at some point there are no more folders. We've reached the top of this hierarchy, and that is called the root. So it then goes into some other folders, and eventually we arrive at desktop, and then we get into our current directory. Okay, so if I'm going to show you another thing now, and actually we're going to go to that root directory. So I can do that with a shortcut that's called cd slash. So slash is the root directory. And now I'm here, I'm going to type ls. And if you've not been here before, this might feel very unfamiliar to you. So you see folders like bin and home and etc. And this might be a little bit scary. And you might be a bit lost, and you might just want to get to a folder on your desktop. And there's a nice quick way of doing this. I can type cd, and I can drag the particular folder that I want to get to into the terminal window. So I'm going to drag video 1 into the terminal window, and you can see I get the full path for that folder, and now I'm in video 1. Okay, so we've got some nice ways of navigating around so far, and we can open things in Finder, and we can take things from Finder and open them in terminal. But also we might want to do some kind of relative navigation. So when I'm in the folder video 1, I might want to just move one level up. And there's a notation for this. So I already told you that a single dot means the current directory. 2 dots means the parent directory. So if you imagine, in every folder apart from the roots, any folder you're in will have a parent. It will be inside another folder. So if I'm in video 1 and I do cd double dot, I go up to video resources. And if I do cd double dot again, I go to desktop. And if I go cd double dot again, I get to that home folder we talked about, which contains desktop. I'm going to show you one more thing here because we can do this all in a single step. So say I went back to my folder video 1. I could go CD. Now let me think about this. We need to go up 1 to video resources, up another 1 to desktop, and then up another 1 to the home folder. So let's try that. CD double dot slash double dot slash double dot. And there we are in the home folder. So we can combine these different things together into paths. So just to review here, dot means the current directory, double dot means the parent directory, double dot slash double dot means the parent of the parent, and double dot slash double dot slash double dot means the parent of the parent of the parent. And this thing can go on forever, really. Okay, so let's now think, let's look at another thing now. Let's look at how to read files. So I'm going to CD back into my folder video 1. I'm going to show you one little shortcut, which is I want to go back to the last directory I was in, and that's CD hyphen. That will take me back to where I just was. So I was in video 1, and now I arrive back at video 1. Okay, I'm going to clear the command line. What I want to do now is I know inside this folder there's a text file and I want to read it. And I can read it by using the command less. Okay, and if I do less and video notes.txt, I can see this text. And if I want to close this, you'll see that it's a little bit tricky. The way to do it is to type the letter Q and it will close. Okay, now imagine I want to read that file, but actually I'm not in this directory. So I'm going to go back to where I was before I was in video 1. So I was in my home directory. So I know that the path to my file video notes is is desktop / video resources / video 1 / video notes.txt. So if I want to read this file, I could just put less before all of this, and I've opened the file without going through the actions of navigating to that particular folder. So that's quite a useful tip for just reading files when you need to access them. Of course, another way I could do it is I could do less and I could drag this file in there and I get the full path to the file. And again, I can read it, but I haven't had to navigate all the way there. Okay, so I think that there was one more thing to show you here, which is about hidden files. So I'm going to CD into the directory MISC. And if I type ls, you can see that there are, well, I've got a folder there called great grandparent. Don't worry about what that was. And I've got a file called lorem. So I'll just show you there. So there was a directory, great grandparent, and a file lorem. So we could read lorem, and it's just got some lorem ipsum text. But there's actually more than meets the eye to this directory. So there is actually a hidden file in there, and I can't see it using Finder. But if I type the command ls-a, you'll see that there is something called .hidden file. So when there's a dot in front of a file, it becomes hidden. And so now I can read this file using less. So I can go less.hidden file. And it tells me what lorem ipsum is here. So this is where less becomes really quite useful, because as you can imagine, it's quite hard to find another way to open the file if it doesn't appear in Finder. And if I go back to my desktop, for example, and I do ls-a, you'll see that there was also some other hidden files. So one that's really common that you'll see on a Mac is called dsstore. It kind of crops up everywhere, and it's a system file that the Mac uses for dealing with displaying files in the Finder. And you can see there's something else called localized as well there. And you'll find many more hidden files around your computer. Normally they're system files. You can also, by the way, I'll go back to MISC. You can also create your own hidden files if you want. So you could type touch.myhiddenfile. So touch creates a file. And now I've created a hidden file. We can't see it in MISC, but I can do ls-a, and there it is. Okay, I think I have shown you everything I want to show you in this video. I'll just go to review and we'll talk about what we've done. So we looked at ls and we looked at using it with two different options. The option A, which shows you, I forgot to mention, stands for all files. So it showed you including the hidden files. And L, which was the long form, so that you could see all the details about the files. We looked at the tool less, which allows you to read text files. We looked at the command touch, which creates files. We looked at cd, which stands for change directory. We looked at path notation using dot and double dot and the slash separator. We looked at the command print working directory. I showed you how to open or explore the current directory that you're in with those two commands. And we looked at hidden files. So if you're playing Adventures in Wonderland, this first video will now give you everything that you need to complete the first part of your adventure. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video.